I'm gonna start this video off by just saying that there are things that happen in our lives that truly shape us, and there are moments in our lives that change the trajectory of where we're going and who we are as people. This is the beginning to my story. I have been super MIA from social media, and it's time to jump back on. It's time to get things in my life back rolling, and yeah, just wanted to fill you guys in. Firstly, added a new addition to the family. This is Miss Luna Bear, aka Bear Dog. So if you hear anything crazy, any weird noises, this is this little lady sitting next to me. A lot of things have changed, or not changed, but shifted in my life in the past 6 months. I'm gonna touch base on one of them right now. Okay, I'll start with the fact that back when I was probably 14 or 15, I was diagnosed with something called retinitis pigmentosa. My close friends know about it. Never really, it's not really been a huge thing for me up until recently. And about a year and a half ago, I realized that it seemed like my vision was getting a little bit, it was just harder or worse or whatever. So I scheduled an appointment with my specialist. They were booked out for a year. So fast forward to February of this year, I went to that appointment. I will share that information about what information I got, but wanted to start from the beginning. So starting off from a young age, I've always worn glasses or contacts. My mom, my brother, a lot of people in my family have had contacts or glasses, not a big deal. When I was 14, the normal eye doctor I was seeing, just an ophthalmologist, I told my parents like, hey, I think something may be going on with her because we haven't been able to get her to see 20/20. They were having issues with glasses or contacts. Even with corrective vision, they couldn't get me to see 20/20. The doctor was concerned that I may have a brain tumor. So I spent some time getting lots of tests, had to get an MRI. Turns out, don't have a brain tumor, awesome. But what they did find out is that I have something called retinitis pigmentosa. It was super random and rare that I had it. First of all, it's something that's genetic. So normally if somebody has that disease, it's people in their family have it. Also, it's really rare for young people to have it. It's something that often shows up like in your later like 40s, 50s, 60s parts of your life. And also I'm a female, which makes it rare too. To sum up shortly, it's an incurable, untreatable disease, and it basically makes you lose your peripheral vision, which is your vision that's like out here. And most people eventually go blind. Since this disease is not curable and not treatable, they basically just say, hey, you need to go and get this monitored and you need to go see this specialist once every year. As I mentioned, I had noticed recently that my vision had gotten, I was having more issues. Basically, back in February, I go and one of the ways that they like monitor your eyes is they have you do something called a vision field test. So basically it's testing your peripheral vision. So I did those tests. Basically, when they do those tests, they only test one of your eyes because with this disease, whatever one eye is doing, the other eye is typically doing. So the results of that test was that my vision was a lot worse. So they asked, hey, can you come in a week and we want to test the other eye? We just want to see where you're at. The first appointment that I went to obviously was very scary. Just finding out that that I had lost a lot of my vision. It was like a cliffhanger because they're like, hey, come back in a week, we're going to test the other eye. So that was kind of the jump start of everything, is finding out like, hey, this eye's not looking good. We need you to come back. So for a week, I just waited, went to that appointment, did the other test, and come to find out the other eye was just the same. Not great. These are my two eyes. This yellow part here and here, this is all the vision that I have left. All of this is a blind spot, all this white, and then this blue part here is a blind spot. And eventually once this blue spot gets big enough, they just show it as white because it's total vision loss. So yeah, this is what I found out. I have lost more than half of my vision already at the age of 30. This was from 2 years ago. So this blind spot was right here, and it's now gotten so big, this has gotten so big that it's now turned into a total blind spot. All of this. So as you can see, 2 years ago, now this disease is progressing quickly. That has what has honestly spiraled me out of control. Finding out that you are 30 years old and you've already lost more than half of your vision, and that you have an incurable disease that is progressing quickly. Definitely has been the hardest and scariest part or time of my life. Yeah, I mean, so many questions come up for me, or have come up for me. Not only has this disease caused me to have like issues in the past. For instance, like I don't drive at nighttime. Everybody knows that. That's close with me. I really don't drive in general unless I have to. With this disease, especially because I have blind spots in like the center points of my eyes, I run into things like full force, like things that are right in front of me, run into things. It messes with like your sense of color. So like colors are an issue for me. A thing that's caused a lot of issues is because I don't have like peripheral vision, my depth perception is really messed up. So I've sideswiped my cars so many times in parking garages because when I'm parking, I can't tell how close and far things are from me. Something that's become more frustrating and annoying is that I can't see like when there's a curb or when there's steps coming. Everything looks just one level for me. Well, I've taken a lot of tumbles. Anyone that, you know, is around or goes out with me, like you'll observe me like double tapping like the ground to see exactly where, if there's a curb that's going to go down or if there's stairs that are going to go down. So that's one of the reasons why I ended up going to the doctor, is because I was noticing that I was running into things a lot more often. I was having a hard time if someone was like, hey, can you pick up that pin right there? Like if there was something right in front of me, I wouldn't see it because it may just so happen to fall like directly in front of my blind spot. There have been a couple of times that I have been driving and I, let's just say, haven't seen pedestrians walking. If they're like walking across the road and they're on the sides of me, walking, you know, across. There's been a couple of scary instances that, that I missed them, luckily, but almost didn't miss them. You know, back when I was diagnosed with this, they told me, hey, you probably won't be able to be a pilot or a nurse. And, you know, those weren't really big things for me because that was as far as this disease really mattered to me, as I'm telling me like, hey, there may be some careers that you can't do. Now that I'm older and I'm starting to have a lot more vision challenges, this disease actually is something that I'm realizing is a big deal, and can affect everything in my life. After finding out that information back, my dog's snoring. After finding that information out back February of this year, I kind of spiraled out of control. I just was having questions like, hey, what am I gonna do for work? Like, I am a real estate agent. That's what I've been doing my entire career. How am I going to drive? Just started having so many questions. I realized like, hey, I just created so much anxiety around, you know, driving. So I went like months and months and months without, honestly leaving my apartment. I was too scared to drive because something that I've learned with vision loss is that your brain kind of plays tricks on you. Like your brain wants to compensate for your vision loss. So it'll sometimes show things that aren't actually really there. So there's been times when I've been driving and I'll like feel like I see something and then I'll like double take and there's not actually something there. Like I might have thought that I saw a car next to me and when I look again, like there's nothing there. I developed a lot of anxiety around driving. I think once I knew that my vision had gotten significantly worse, my anxiety just double kicked in. Like I got just really uncomfortable going places that I've never been before, because when you have vision loss, like it's easy to go places you've been because you know what to anticipate. You know where there's stairs, you know where there's, say, a pillar. And I just got to a point where like I didn't want to go anywhere that I'd never been before. I got so frustrated and embarrassed, like when I would go places, that I would run into things. And granted, like I feel like a lot of people don't ever see me do it because I brush it off really quickly because I'm so used to it. But it just gets really frustrating and annoying when you find out that like you're losing your vision and you do have significant vision loss. Like it kind of takes over your world. It's a huge mental challenge because not only do you know that you have this disease, but you're constantly looking out of your eyes and you're realizing things. Like if I'm walking around my apartment and I trip over like something, it's just, you're constantly realize that like you have this issue. It's not something that you can forget about. And that's just gotten really hard. I, really dove deep into a dark depression. I totally isolated myself from everyone in my life, my friends, my family, my work. I stopped working because I just was so in my mind thinking like, hey, I can't do real estate anymore. This is not gonna happen. I just kind of lost it. To say the least, I lost it. I became extremely suicidal. I just was feeling like, I don't want to be somebody who can't leave their apartment or can't leave their house. Like I don't want to have to eventually move in with my family to be taken care of, because I won't be able to work and I won't be able to drive and I won't be able to do anything except sit in a chair because I'll be blind. I'm just now getting out of that place. I've also just realized too that like with being very stressed out, it makes my vision worse. So like the easiest thing I could compare it to is if like you have your TV on the wrong input and everything looks really staticky. That's how my vision looks the majority of the time. They call it snowflakes. Like everything looks staticky around you. So that was just like another thing too, that since I was so stressed out after going to that doctor's appointment, and it just led on for months and months and months, that every waking hour for me was stressful because my vision was so messed up from so much stress. And even when I close my eyes at night, a part of this disease is you get things called flashers, and it just looks like fireworks. So when my eyes are closed, I'm just constantly seeing flashes of light. It's one of those things that I couldn't escape the reminder of what I was going through. It was so easy for people to just tell me like, you need to be strong. Like this is all like a mind thing. Like you need to be determined that you're not going to lose your vision. You need to find other answers, other outlets. But it just was very, very hard when you're constantly looking through your eyes and realizing like my life is about to like really, really change and there's nothing I can do about it. That's where I've been at. I've just realized a lot of things about myself in the past 6 months. A part of that is that I just have realized that although I hope that, some kind of miraculous cure pops into this world for this disease, that would be awesome. But I really want to focus on things that are important to me, that are in alignment with me. And I just want to enjoy this life. With this disease, they don't know how quickly or slowly it'll progress. According to what the tests have seen in the past 2 years with me, it looks very likely that I could not have vision in 2 years. I just really want to enjoy my life and do things that are important to me, and do things that like may be more challenging for me or may not be possible for me, you know, in the coming years. And I also really want to spread awareness about this specific disease and just any real, you know, disease or disability that people may be living with. Because I'll tell you that when I posted on Instagram about what I was going through, the outpour of people, which was so appreciated, also really scared me. We just don't know what people are going through at all. Everything can be look so great and so beautiful, like surface level, but even just small things, like I've had a handicap placard for myself for many years, just because, as I mentioned, I sideswipe everything in my car. So parking handicap is easier for me, so I don't have to park next to people because I may hit their car. But even a couple years ago, like I parked in handicap at North Park Mall, and when I got out, someone had left a note on my door, on my car door, saying that basically something to the effect of like, I should be ashamed of myself for parking in that spot, blah, 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 whatever. I don't remember what it said other than that. But it was super frustrating for me, because I'm just like, you see somebody on the outside and you don't ever really know what they're going through. And it's so important for us to be compassionate and not judge others, because we have no idea. And this is something that, you know, as someone who has always been extremely ambitious, always wanted to go above and beyond and get so much out of this life, this was a huge damper for me. I have always been very independent. I've always wanted to do things differently than what I've seen, you know, other people doing, and to find out some information that, you know, me being an independent person, I may need support from others. This is a big eye-opening thing for me as someone who's independent. Like, sometimes we need help, and, you know, my friends have been super awesome, offering to pick me up or offering to try to get me out of the house. Some of my friends that like are aware of what I'm dealing with, and they're very good about saying like, hey, there's a curb right there. Hey, like, oh, you can't see where that glass is, let me pick that up for you. It's been an interesting experience going from being someone who's very independent, not accepting help, to realizing I do need help with certain things, and that's probably going to be the case for like the rest of my life. It's an interesting feeling. I feel like this disease has not handicapped me, but it's been an eye-opening experience, has definitely shaped me and is continuing to shape me. And with that being said, I just feel like a lot of things have shifted in my life. I am going to be chasing after things that I feel are what I want to do. And, you know, I had so much anxiety about, you know, continuing to do real estate. It's something that requires you to drive. It requires you to walk into places that you've never been to before, showing houses, which can be so anxiety ridden for me, having to drive and having people follow me to different places and having to walk into dark houses. A part of this disease is like your light receptors are really messed up. So it's hard for me to go in and out of different lighting. So it's hard walking into a dark house when you go show a house and it's pitch black for me and I can't see anything for minutes. You know, my thoughts about what I'm gonna do for work have definitely shifted, because I don't know if real estate is what I'm gonna continue to do. And I don't necessarily think that it's something that I want to do. There's so much around it that causes me anxiety and doesn't make me feel fulfilled. And I feel like this information that I got in this place that I've been in the past couple of months has genuinely opened up that door for me to realize that there may be other things out there. So this has been long. Just wanted to do an introductory video as to what's been going on and what is about to take off for me, because things have changed and I am going to take y'all along the ride. So see y'all in the next video.